Good morning. Hi gozaimasu. Actually, it's afternoon, but big news this week. We've proud new owners of this beautiful teapot. So it's strutting its stuff here on the saw bench amongst the sawdust, and we're sharing a cup of tea. So it's Friday. Happy Friday. Very nice. Weekly update, weekly wrap. Welcome to our place of work. We'll run through some different projects that we've got on at the moment. This is a dining room table we're working on. I don't know if you want to pan back and have a look, but it's going to be a light box dining room table. So made as a shoji design with traditional kumiko slats, half mortised, interwoven, backed with traditional Japanese rice paper. There's a base. We've got internal lighting all the way around, so we get the sides light, the top light. There's glass top sitting in here, and then we've got some ovaled legs that sit underneath, which you'll see in the assembly area. So that's coming along, quite exciting. Be a special piece, be on a dimmer, and you can really play with that ambient light. But yeah, looking forward to showing that when it's finished. We're going to get a little bit creative, and we're going to do some photography and filming down at the beach. So we'll sit it in the sand and have some fun with it. So that's our table. This is some sections of the legs. So all in Tassie oak, got that male-female half round, interlocks into top and bottom panels, and that's underway. And if we move down this way, I think we talked about this another time, but that was a mock-up of a multi-layered screen that we're looking at for a project between areas. It'd be obviously a much bigger scale, but that was just a mock-up so the client could appreciate the design aesthetic. An update on our custom table tennis table. This is the bottom, it's flipped over, but tomorrow we've got to cut in the main steel leg bases. So we've got these big steel bases here. So they've been designed to get a fixing into each timber board. We'll be rebatting that in. So we've got a jig here. So tomorrow we'll be setting this jig up. I don't know if you want to pan around so you can see it. But this gets clamped down, and then we set that up with our Festool router, so that runs around all four sides, and we'll take that cutout down, and then this steel will end up sitting down flush with the table depth, and we've got our screw pins which will also try and hold this table straight over time. And then we've got additional holes in here which connect to our struts for lifting the table. So it sits, the idea is it sits as a normal regulation table tennis height, length and width. And a push of a button, we've got four lifters that will lift it up to different levels. So you'll be able to stand at it and use it as a servery or a stand bar area, and have a sort of a multi-purpose. So there'll be some filming happening tomorrow with these inserts and how all that goes together. And once this table's finished, we'll put out a little video on the journey. If you pan down underneath, you can see a brass inlay. We've got the 20mm line that runs right around the perimeter of the table. Normally that would be in white, and you've got a blue surface typically on a table tennis table, but we've got a brass inlay here. And then up the middle, we've got the 5mm centre line. So some nice detailing, and you can see more of that. Assembly area. We've glued up, this is a lighting profile that we've glued up for some neon flex lights. So these sit above our Sydney project, above the bottle side displays. So we've got a 25 by 30 section here with I think it's a 8 by 6 rebate. So we've made all these up, and then the neon flex sits up in there so you don't see the light source and sits above the bottles. So there's 11 of them being made up. That's the last one. If we come down here, guys have been edging, and we're doing a curved bar at the moment. So all the carcasses have got curved fronts. So I've been edging with a Festool front edger and trimming up the laminate. So that's the spoil on the floor, hand trimmed, and then behind you there you've got some of those panels with the curves and the different shapes of the cabinet. I don't know if you pan down and see that. And then when we come through, this is our template for the bar. I don't know if you can see all that, but this is the template of the rock work for the whole area. That first line is our actual cutout at rock. If you come through, there's more of it here. So the back line is rock at slab level. Red line's rock at 900 high. Black line's rock at 1 metre, so bench height. And we're able to then template and work through the racking, and then we've got the front line of the racking, which is the red line. The red line is our front nosing line of our bench, and then you've seen those back lines. Cut out is actually rock at slab, rock at 900, rock at 1 metre. So that's been templated down onto a flat surface. We've then also got a green line here, which is rock at 1900, and that's going to be the overhead height, which is bronze rolled overhead, or bar cabinetry open with fluted glass and glass hanging. So we've able to then set it all out. We've got strong curved round ends that run back into the rock face. And then we've got templates coming up on the end with little infill panels. So they've all these doors have got timber in black and ash, which will be made to the front curve. And they've also got not pressed metal, but woven metal inserts and a black meshed behind, just so you can't see through the bronze woven. In behind here, we've got a dehumidifier that sits for the cellar area. And then behind here, we've got our first 2 carcasses. You can see the curved face. And then we've got a light box that's going in between them. So we get some nice, subtle ambient light that'll break up each bank of doors, or each separate door. And then in these cabinets, there's obviously a bar sink with a zip 4-in-1. We've got a integrated fridge. We've got a commercial dishwasher, glass washer, ice machine, and drawers and doors. Deep bench. I'll just grab a sample of the bench. This is one of the options for the bench with canvas, which is a butcher's block 17 by 17, which I think look quite special. So that's canvassing different options, but the other one's having a curved face to the bench front with a scarf joint with timber nails, and then segregated fanning pieces running back out to give you the run around on the curve, so you sort of a 90-degree face off the front. So that's coming along, pretty exciting project. So you'll see more of that in the coming weeks. Over here, these are the Tassie oak bases for the shoji dining room table. So oval and tight wrapped ends. So I don't know if you can come up high and you can sort of look at it a little bit. Yeah, you can sort of get a sense of the shape there. So that'll be pretty special. And then this is another project we're doing Ikebana display. So this is at a in an office sort of headquarters, and they have we've created this light box through from the main congregating area through to their boardroom. Boardroom's the other side. This will be the main entry and congregating area. This has a stainless steel tray in it, 10mm high. It's got 3 water wells, like almost ink wells that sit down 100mm, like out of 25mm tubing, all solid welded. And then this will have gravel in it, and then we've got like little test tubes, 20mm stainless with a solid welded base that'll sit in there, which will stop. It'll sit up just at the same height as the pebbles, which will stop the pebbles going into those little wells. But the idea there is, it's a seasonal display of local foliage, so you can speak the language of the season and showcase, the cut of the day or the week. So the idea is you've got 3 spots. You can have something centralized, or you can really do something abstract that hangs out over the side, and then you've got the gravel base. This is you can lift that out, and the ink wells sort of sit down in the wall line, and then we've got a removable face for easy access to remove that. This glass is switchable, so it'll be on a light switch, and you can switch it so it then goes clear, and then you can see through the spaces, which gives you that interaction between spaces. I mean, you'll have the light aspect either way, but it means you can see the Ikebana display for both sides. And if in important meetings where you want some privacy, you can we'll turn the switching off, and it goes back to opaque. So really exciting options to display Ikebana, and we're looking at some other vase options too, with large format timber pieces that are weighted, that can enable you to do some abstract arrangements. But whether you're into Ikebana or not, I think it's a nice way of bringing external elements internal and sort of celebrating seasons. It's a very simple thing to cut a branch or a cutting of the day and put it in here inside and display it. So it's we'd like to do a lot more of these, and I think adding these sort of options into offices is one thing, but also just at entries into residential homes. Again, subtle lighting and bringing in some nature to internal spaces. Traditionally in Japan, you've got the genkan, where you come in the front door and you take your shoes off, shoebox, and you step up, and that's sort of the entry level into the home. Often there's some sort of subtle display there. And then you've got the tokonoma, the traditional Japanese display wall, that again is often a way to express the owner's take on celebrating seasons and other special pieces. So I think this is a nice sort of amalgamation of some of those elements into more of a contemporary Australian space. So looking forward to showing this when it's in, and it might have a little bit more context when you see it all set up. But well underway. In behind you, this is the Sydney project again. We've got all these little light displays, and you can see one sort of just clamped in here. So there's a neon light that sits in here. These are still going to be dressed up and finished, but it means that you get the light shining down on the bottle display without seeing the light source. And we've got rear lighting that goes back and lights up the rock. So that's coming together, and next week they'll all go in. I'm still waiting on our supply of light fittings for the neon, but we'll then integrate that, and that'll be away. Very exciting new inclusion over here. Our trusty edge sander now has a accompanying paper holder. So yeah, we're proudly displaying our different grits of paper. We've got a 60, 80, 100, 120 ready to go. So yeah, very. I think that's almost as exciting as our new teapot. So I think yeah, I hope you're enjoying that as much as I am. Yeah, I think let's continue on. Yeah, it's a large format board, 3/6 by 1800, cutting down for another project. We've got some Woka here in different shades of black. We're creating our own mix. So that's a project down in Flinders. We've got large format sort of arbor area with planting that we're staining up. So that's the next mix ready to happen. Our showroom. Yeah, we've got a big book here on social media marketing. Someone's dropped in some samples this week on acoustic linings. We're looking at a project in Hampton, in Melbourne, where we've doing a band room and bar fit out in the basement. So looking at different acoustic linings there. I'm working with an engineer, an acoustic engineer, and working through all that. This is for the Flinders project. We're looking at some timber screens, landscape elements to hide some tanks and some service areas. So this is rough sawn cypress, and we can also have it cut in a bandsaw profile. But I think the idea was to have this stepped sort of look, and then stain it up in the Woka black, and then that sort of hides away those areas. So got to do a little sample there for the client, price that up, and work through that stage. So that's ticking along. Yeah, I think then next door. This is the setup back from the exhibition buildings. Let's turn that on. That was the display we did at Decor and Design up at the exhibition buildings. That was the backdrop to our display. Our 6-layered shoji with light box, and we're back here wrapped for future. We've got to obviously find a place to store it. And that was our walls with our mobile stillage with top lifting for forks. So that's back and needs to find a more permanent resting place. But there's a little video two-part video on our first time exhibiting and just the process that we went through to plan and bring the display together in a short, I think it was 2-week period, exhibit and then back here. And yeah, if that's something of interest, there's a video on that. This is our pod, which you would have seen if you've watched some of our videos. It's finished, Japanese inspired. We're looking at exhibiting this at the Melbourne Home Show in 2 weeks' time, which I think is around maybe the 23rd of August. I think it's Friday week. So we're exploring options on transporting this at the moment. We've got we've got some trucking companies and craneage and hydraulic lifting options that we're sort of trying to bring together and look at the logistics of getting it there and back and without breaking the bank. Obviously, it's an expensive exercise for a 3-day event, but we're just weighing up the cost benefit in potentially getting obviously a lot of eyes on space. And I think that the rationale was you can spend a lot of money on print media and social media, and you know, it's a visual that you don't quite experience as you do by walking through and seeing a space. So the current concept is, home show. It'll be sort of centrally located. These double doors would open up and would have stairs coming up each way. The idea was to try and navigate people through the space, so they'd with someone sort of controlling access, but people would come in, they'd have a look at the bathroom, walk around here, and then back out. And the idea was to maybe partition off the tatami, so people don't have to take shoes off entering the space. And then just trying to coordinate entry and exit levels and come up with a good system. Potentially having a TV set up outside with our video loop on loop, and a brochure stand, and so that's the thought. We've just got to see if we can bring that together. This is our colour palette again, which I love talking about. Ginkgo inspired pod based on the autumn ginkgo leaf foliage. You got those beautiful different autumn hues from green, yellow to brown, and then the textural element of the ginkgo leaf. It's very similar to the tatami, and then that's sort of led to the colour palette here, with a lot of natural materials and tones and textures. If you want to come and have a look, hopefully we'll be at the Melbourne Exhibition Buildings for the Home Show in late August 2025. So come along and say hello, and come and check out the space. So that's the weekly wrap. Thanks for watching, and we need to get back to our cup of tea.